scorer in the country, averaging over 26 points a game. This guy is something to see. Watch him tonight.
Fredette with a three. Bullseye! What a shot by Fredette!
Come on now. I mean, come on.
So Fredette takes Gary to the hole.
This is ridiculous.
Fredette shakes free again.
50-42, BYU by 8 into Jimmer with 4 and with 3 and with 2. Jimmer from 40 feet. Got it! He got it! Oh! Maybe the greatest half of basketball ever for a BYU player.
Like, I always watch Steph or even Jimmer, like, who I loved. Like, I told Jimmer this, like, when we were doing Sue's Places, like, he was one of my favorite players growing up, and there was the famous song, Teach Me How to Jimmer, and I had the shirt that said, Teach Me How to Jimmer. Like, if you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. It's a Teach Me How to Dougie remix. It's a Teach Me How to Jimmer. It's hilarious.
You need to get that thing signed.
Hey, Mighty Quinn.
What's up?
Can you teach me how to Jimmer?
Well, sit back and relax and just let this thought simmer. Cause it seems that these days, even Utah fans be gushing. And your old man crushing. Okay, Jimmy Fredette, hey, nothing but net. Crazy in the days, no defense can phase. 30-footers he raises, always amazes. Nothing but praise, TJ taught him in phases. Boy, is the truth, how do you know? Cause Nelly said it, he's the real King James. What should I do? Just forget it. BOI's come and go, handle your business. Supposedly the best, what you talking about, Willis? Don't be talking trash, cause you know that he's a winner. So Trevon, Darius, Kawhi, and Jigga, get Jimmer. Even while Bill be blushing like a portly pirate poet saying,
I'm in love and I just don't care who knows it.
Teach me how to Jimmer. Teach me how to Jimmer. Teach me how to Jimmer. Teach me how to Jimmer.
Everybody Jimmer. Everybody Jimmer. Everybody Jimmer. You ain't messing with the Jimmer.
Teach me how to Jimmer. Teach me how to Jimmer. Teach me how to Jimmer. Teach me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're excited to welcome Jimmer Fredette.
Everybody Jimmer. You ain't messing with the Jimmer.
Wow. No, that's great. Man, that was a great video right there. I don't know about you guys think, but I need to get that actually. Afterwards, I need to get that because we need to use that in other places. That was awesome. No, thank you so much for the warm reception. Thank you for letting me be in here. Obviously, ClientSuccess, thank you so much for having me. And Dave, I know you're back there listening. Thank you so much for having me and being able to let me have the opportunity to speak to so many awesome leaders out here. And, obviously, for me, how many BYU fans do we have in here? Do we have a lot of BYU fans? Okay, great. Do we have any Utah fans? There you go, we got some Utah fans. Okay, sorry about the clip. Sorry about that clip right there. I don't mean to hurt your feelings or anything. But I've had such an awesome experience being able to be a basketball player and be able to be a leader and to be able to go all over the world to experience such amazing cultures and so many amazing people and see all of the different values and interests of people all across the world. It's been an amazing experience, and we're going to touch on all of that today. We're going to kind of go through my life story, talk a little bit about grit, which we like to talk about here at ClientSuccess, and also about some leadership things that I've learned from myself, but also from others that have coached me throughout my career. Let's see. How does this work? Do we have the slides or? There we go. Perfect. Okay, so this right here, I grew up in a small town in upstate New York called Glens Falls. Very, very small town, 14,000 people. This is the house that I grew up in when I was younger. I lived there for all 18 years. My parents still live in that house, actually, which is really funny. I've tried to get them to move like 100 times. We tried to get them to move out here to the west, to Utah. I live in Denver now. So I've tried to get them to move out there. Yeah, I see one person raising the roof for Denver. Appreciate that. And it's an apps, but I love that place. They love that. They will not leave. But this is where I grew up. I have an older brother and an older sister, my mom and my dad, TJ and Lindsay, my older brother and sister. Lindsay was 9 years older than me. TJ was 7 years older than me. So I was much younger than my siblings. I was definitely a mistake. I know that for a fact. It's okay. I tell my parents all the time the best mistake they ever made. So that's the biggest thing. So grew up here, slept on my parents' floor for years. For years. We only had 2 bedrooms. My brother and sister shared one, and then I slept on the floor of my parents' bedroom. And this is where I grew up. That is me when I was in 3rd grade. That's, good old younger Jimmer. And this is also younger Jimmer right here. This is big bone Jimmer. This is what my mom used to call big bone Jimmer. Okay? So you have to remember this, right? This right here. This is when I was in 5th grade. And this kid right here was telling everybody that he was going to make it to the NBA. This kid. And everyone was like, I don't think so. What are you talking about? What is going on here? But that was my goal. That's what I wanted to do. I remember one time specifically, we used to have snow days in Glens Falls in New York. A lot of snow out there, a lot of ice. So if there got some ice, we would have snow days. Every time there was a snow day, I used to wake up and I was like, yes, love snow days, obviously. Got to sleep in. First thing I'd do, I'd eat some breakfast and I'd go straight to the YMCA. So the YMCA was a little, gym that they had, in our neighborhood, in our community, and I'd go there and I'd start playing basketball, and then there would be tons of kids that would just come in. They wanted to do the same thing. So we'd go in and we'd play. I remember one time specifically, I was there, and there was kids from the rival town, Queensbury, right? We played Glens Falls. They were from Queensbury. We didn't like each other. It was like BYU, Utah, very similar. But we were there, and I remember this one kid. His name was Bobby Dickinson. He was a little bit older than I was at Queensbury. He came up, and we were shooting baskets, and he came up to me one day, and he said, Jimmer, I heard that you want to make it to the NBA. I heard that you think you're going to be an NBA basketball player. And I was like, yeah, I really believe so. He's like, absolutely not. That is not happening. And his group of friends just laughed at me, and just left. And I sat there and I was like, I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them what this is going to be. So I move forward, and this is my brother TJ. This is my backyard that I grew up playing in. Like I said, I was much younger than him, but I always wanted to play basketball with him. Everything that he did, I was trying to do. TJ was amazing. The thing about TJ is that most times with older brothers, older siblings, they would be like, I don't want you around, right? How many of you are older siblings or a younger sibling? Do you guys like your younger siblings around all the time? No, probably not. TJ did. It was really weird. He wanted me around all the time. He let me play in all of his games. He let me do all of these things. He was always helping me practice. So I remember back when I was younger, it was about this age. I was probably 7, 8 years old. He was much older. We would play in the backyard. I'd play with all of his friends. We'd go around and I'd shoot and I'd try to, score baskets. And every single time I tried to shoot it, they would block my shot every time, right? And I would get so upset. I'd be crying. I'd be yelling to my mom. I'd be like, they're not letting me play. They're blocking my shot every single time. What do I do? Right? How do I get past this? And my dad and TJ saw this, and I was getting frustrated, but I still wanted to play. So my dad came to TJ one day, and he's like, hey, how about this? Let's make a rule for Jimmer. If he can shoot it past this concrete slab that we had in our backyard, if he can shoot it from this into the basket, then you can't block his shot. Okay? That was the one rule that he put in. And I was like, okay. That's a really far shot, though. It was a really far shot. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this shot for an 8-year-old. So I was like, all right, well, that's good to know. Every single day after that, every single day I'd go out and I'd practice that shot. Every single day. And I would throw it, I'd heave it, I'd try to figure out how to do it. And then from there, I started to get a little stronger, started to learn the technique a little bit better, learned how to use my legs a little bit more, and eventually I got to the point where I started making that shot. So then I'd go into these games with my brother, and we'd start playing, and I'd pull up from that shot, and I'd start making it, and they couldn't block my shot. And I became a real asset at that point. I became a real asset, because everyone's like, actually, I want you on my team now, because you can make that shot, and they can't block it. And it kind of flipped the switch, flipped that little switch, which was awesome. But it was just because of that grit, that determination. It was like, man, if I want to play, if I want to be great, if I want to do this, I got to be able to make this shot. And I went out there and I practiced every single day. And that's honestly where I started to learn how to shoot from long distances. And I started to learn how to do that from a young age. So then people later see me shooting from these long distances. How do you do that? Well, I learned it when I was young because of that. So I go through and I go to Glens Falls High School, and we had an awesome high school career. My best friend Denny over here on the right. This was after we actually lost the game in the sectionals. And the reason why we lost that game is because I missed 2 free throws at the end of the game that actually lost the game for us. And I remember that very, very well. And you can see my face. I was not very happy after that. There was the Post Star, which was a little newspaper that we had in Glens Falls, had a picture of me on the front page, saying, missed 2 free throws. Fredette misses 2 free throws to lose the game. And I'm sitting there and I'm like laying back in my chair. And I was a sophomore in high school. It was devastating to me, right? I was like, man, this is really hard. How do I do this? But I said, I want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So every single day after practice, I would make 100 free throws. 100 free throws every time, no matter what. It'd take me like 15, 20 minutes every day. But I would do that every single day to make sure that didn't happen again. And I'm sure it happened again, but I was much better at it. And it was just that mindset, right? It's that mindset of I'm not good at something, or something has happened to me, and I'm not going to let that happen again. How do I overcome this? What do I do at that point to be able to force myself into an uncomfortable situation so that I can be comfortable when that situation pops up again? And I think that's really important and something that I learned. So I go through and have a good high school career. I was not very heavily recruited out of high school. Like I said, I was from a small town in upstate New York. There was no social media back then, which is crazy to think about. It makes me feel older, which is weird, but there was no social media, so I couldn't get my film out there or anything. No one knew who I was. I was playing against smaller schools, smaller competitions. The only way that I actually got recruited by BYU is because I went to a generic BYU basketball camp when I was a freshman in high school. My dad was like, hey, if you want BYU to know who you are or anything like that, we should probably go out there to a camp. So I signed up for a generic BYU basketball camp, went out there, and I was playing really well, right? Some of the kids there, they are there because they want to play basketball, some are there because their parents are there, send them there for babysitting, right? And it just kind of depends. And I was playing really well, so then Coach Rose would come in and he'd be like, well, who's this kid? I've never seen him before. I have no idea who he is. He's playing pretty well. My dad was there. They got to know him and my family really well at that point. And then after that point, Coach Rose almost never missed a basketball game that I played in. He was at almost everything that he possibly could be in. He would fly around the country watching me in AAU, but I was definitely someone who was overlooked besides 2 schools, BYU and Siena College. Siena College is a small college in upstate New York that was an opportunity that wanted me to come there. So I decided with this opportunity, I had 2 choices. I could stay close to home, or I could go out to Utah, where I've never been before, obviously know nothing about it. I decided that I wanted to go to BYU because of Coach Rose. Coach Rose, I don't know if many of you know anything about Coach Rose, but he is one of the toughest people that I have ever met in my entire life. He was an amazing person. He cares about people, cares about what their actual lives outside of sports, but he's also an extreme competitor. And the best way that I can describe this is when Coach Rose was in college, right? He played for the 5 Slamma Jamma. Has anyone ever heard of the 5 Slamma Jamma before? That was a team back in Houston, and they were amazing. They went to the national championship. They had Akeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, guys who were actually Hall of Fame basketball players on his team. And he actually wasn't in the starting 5, right? He was coming off of the bench, and he didn't play that much. But Coach Rose was the captain of the team. He was the captain of the team, and he didn't play much. And that's with all of those Hall of Famers on the team. And that's kind of describes what Coach Rose was like as a leader, as a person, just an amazing human being. So he told me specifically when I got in my recruiting visit, he said, I am not going to give you any playing time. You have to earn it. And as a competitor, I loved that. I was like, I don't want to be given playing time. I don't want to be just show up and be able to be, just have the spot, right? Like, I want to be able to earn that. And that's the mindset that us as leaders should have. Like, we don't want it to be given to us. We want to take it. We want to be out there and make sure that we are the ones putting in the effort and being as successful as we can be, because we didn't have it given to us. We went out there and did it ourselves, right? So we go through, and sorry, you guys just saw this play before, a couple claps here, but then all of a sudden I get to BYU, and as a freshman, I actually didn't play very much. That's one thing that I was a little frustrated with, right? Like, I first got there and I was like, all right, I understand you told me that I needed to take it, but I feel like, I took a little bit in practice and I feel like I'm doing all right, and I wasn't playing a ton. I remember one specific game when I was playing in in Vegas. We were playing against North Carolina, obviously one of the best teams in the country. They were phenomenal. They were top 5. And I remember I got into the game for 1 minute and 26 seconds, I believe. And then I came out of the game, and then I didn't play again. And I was out for the rest of the game. And I just was sitting there, and we ended up losing the game, right? We ended up losing the game, and I was just really upset afterwards. And I was just like, man, I feel like I could have helped the team. I feel like I could have helped the team win that game, and I just wanted to be out there as a competitor. But obviously, I'm a team guy, and I'm going to make sure that I'm, rooting my teammates on. And we had two guards that were seniors that were above me that were playing, and they were doing well. So it was nothing against the teammates, nothing against the players, but as a competitor, I wanted to play, right? So what do I do at that point? What do you do? There's not a whole lot you can do except for show what you can do in practice, right? So at that time, my mindset completely shifted, right? I can't show what I can do on the court unless I prepare myself for practice to play the best that I can play. So that's what I did. I completely shifted my mind, and I was like, all right, practice are now my games, and I needed to prepare for that. So I'd go into practice, and I'd have my headphones in, and I'd be warming up, and I'd get myself amped up, and I'd get myself ready to go as if it was a game going into practice. And then I'd get into practice, and I'd start playing, and I would be intense. And I was intense. I remember specifically we were in the Richards building, which is just kind of like the normal basketball facility at BYU. It's where all of the normal students go and play. And we had practice there for the week because the Marriott Center where we play at normally didn't have the option to be there. So we were in the Richards building, and I get in there, and I had my headphones in, and I'm getting ready to play, and I'm super intense. And generally we had a white team and a blue team. The blue team was always the starting 5, right? The starting 5 and kind of like the starting 7 that they would put together. And then the white team was kind of like the scout team, and they were the team that played against the starting 5. And generally, I was kind of a little bit between both, starting to move a little more towards the blue side where I was kind of there, so I was kind of subbing in and out. And I told coach, I was like, I do not want to be on blue team. Put me on white team. Please put me on white team. So I did. I was on white team. And they tried to get me to turn jersey over to blue team. I was like, no, I'm staying on white team. I want to be on the white team. And I went out there and just took it as a game and was super intense and played as hard as I possibly could because I wanted to show that I could be out there and playing because of that mindset shift, right? And my coaches were like, you need to settle down a little bit, to be honest with you. It's a little bit too much, but I understand your point. And I really think that Coach Rose loved that. I think he loved that. I think he respected that. I think he understood it. I didn't take it too far. I wasn't showing up my teammates or anything like that. I was just being aggressive and going out there and showing what I could do. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you got to take things into your own hands, right? That's just how it works. Like if you want to be the best, if you want to be someone who is successful, competitive, you have to do that sometimes and do it yourself. No one can do it better than you can when you put your mind to it. And that's something that I learned. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're not showing other people up. You're just doing it because you feel like you can help the team and you can help yourself, right? So we go through and we have an amazing college basketball career. And I get to 2011, right? 2011 basketball season was, at BYU for BYU fans, was very special. It was extremely special for me as well. It was what they called Jimmer Mania at that time, which was really, really cool. This right here was the game that actually changed the trajectory of my life, to be honest with you. This is the San Diego State game at BYU, okay? So just for a little context, both teams were in the top 10 that year. We were both really good, but we were both kind of mid-majors and kind of coming out of nowhere. And everyone was wanting to know a little bit more about BYU and San Diego State because we were both so good, but we weren't on TV all that much. So there was one specific game right here where we were on TV, and social media was just coming out at that point. Twitter and Instagram were just kind of coming out at that point. And we ended up having a top 10 battle. Kawhi Leonard was on that team, who is an NBA Hall of Famer now, who won many championships in the NBA. And we ended up beating him. And I had a great game. I had over 40 points and had just a really great game, and everyone was watching it, right? So people were tweeting, people like Kevin Durant, Barack Obama, Nelly, Steve Nash, all of these artists were tweeting oh my goodness, did you guys just watch this game? Right, Jimmer Mania, all of these different things on social media. Then we win the game, they have the court stormed, right? The court is all of a sudden stormed. And that's me right here with the sea of people. They had to pull me back and put security and kind of get me out of there because they were grabbing my jersey and trying to take it off and all these crazy stuff. And but after that game, my life completely changed. I couldn't go anywhere without people wanting pictures, wanting autographs, all of these different things. And I was like, what the heck happened? I was literally just the same person 2 days ago, and now all of a sudden this has happened. And then from there, it just kind of kept building. And we ended up having such a great season. We went to the Sweet 16 that year, which is something that BYU hadn't done in a long time, won conference championship. I was fortunate enough to be able to win National Player of the Year, and was able to get the ESPY for Male Collegiate Athlete of the Year. Got it from Justin Timberlake and Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden I was like a celebrity. And I was like, what the heck is going on, right? This kid from Glens Falls, New York, all of a sudden everyone knew who I was. And I was on the top of the world. I just was, right? No one could touch me. I was the best player in the country. Everyone thought I was awesome, and I was being told that all the time. Man, you're the best. This is amazing. Way to do this. This is great. And it was awesome. I ended up reaching my dream, right? I got drafted into the NBA. I was the top 10 draft pick going into the Sacramento Kings, right? So, which was a dream come true, a lottery pick in the NBA. Most of you have seen me. I don't really look like a basketball player, right? I'm not super tall. I'm just very average looking. But I was fortunate, and I was able to reach my dream making it to the NBA. Then I get to the NBA, right? That year, 2011, 2012, the NBA actually, I got drafted by the Sacramento Kings, and they had a lockout that year. That was the year that they had a lockout. So if you know anything about a lockout, there's you can't have any contact between your team, yourself and the team. So at that point, I got drafted, but I was not able to go out to Sacramento. Normally they have summer league, they have workouts, all these things. But all of the rookies kind of were just in limbo. We're just all right, well, we're kind of just back at our schools playing and waiting. And it happened to be all the way until November. So the season usually starts in October. We went all the way until after Thanksgiving for that lockout. And then they were like, all right, come on in, and we're going to start playing. Lockout's over. They had a week training camp, and we were playing. And I was like, geez, this is a complete change from BYU to playing now the best players in the world, the most athletic players in the world, guys that are 30 years old and mature and know all the tricks of the trade and do all these things, and you're just kind of thrown into it. And at that point, they don't care about what you did in college. None of those players cared about what you did in college. None of the coaches kind of cared what you did in college. Actually, it might even hurt you. They might even want to come at you more if you were, someone who was successful at that level and say, hey, all right, let's go. What do you got, right? And I didn't mind that. That's totally fine with me. But at the same time, it was a shift. And I remember, my coach that drafted me, Paul Westphal, he was there for about 2 weeks in the season. And it was great. He kind of drafted me. He wanted to be on the team. It was great. 2 weeks into the season, he gets fired. right? All of a sudden, a new coach comes in. Situations change like that sometimes. And you don't see it coming. It happens all the time in professional sports. It happened to me. At one time, this was my guy. Next coach comes in, didn't like me. Not necessarily didn't like me, but didn't like my game, right? Didn't like how I played. So all of a sudden I went from playing to not playing at all, right? 3 games in a row, DMPs. And I had never dealt with that before, right? Not playing in a basketball game at all. That was different for me. And just remember, a couple months ago, I was the top of the world, right? The best of the best. And now all of a sudden, I'm way back here again. And everyone is like, well, what happened to Jimmer? What happened? Why can't he play anymore? Biggest bust that happened this year. All of these different things, articles coming out, social media, all over the place. What happened? Why can't he play? He's no good anymore. Can't compete in the NBA, can't compete in the level, right? All these things start to happen. And that was difficult, I'm not gonna lie. This right here was the first basketball game that I ever played in my entire life. You guys know who that is? Yeah? Quick story about this. I was in the first game ever, as I said. I check into the game. I go to the corner because we're on offense, and I'm sitting there, and Kobe Bryant is on the other side of the court guarding someone else. And I'm just kind of sitting there. I don't remember who was guarding me. All of a sudden, Kobe Bryant looks over at the person that's guarding me, all the way on the other side. He said, hey, switch with me. Switch with me. So he walks all the way to the other side of the court, over here, and I'm sitting over here. And he's like, puts his arm right in my chest, says, welcome to the NBA. And I said, oh, thanks, Mr. Bryant. I don't know, like, what do I say? You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's me versus Kobe tonight, right? And that's the first picture ever. And then from there, it's on. But obviously, had a rocky start. I really did. I remember one specific day in practice. It was really difficult. I was kind of there by myself. My wife wasn't there. We were engaged at the time. She was still at BYU. So we were planning on getting married after the season. So I was there by myself. My parents and everything would come in. I didn't know how to handle the situation. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know what to do. I was like, man, I just feel like there's something missing here. And how do I get out of this rut that I'm in? Because I'm feeling a little depressed, right? Like you see all of these things, and it hurts, and it's hard, and my confidence was shot. It's like, maybe I'm not that good. What do I do? So I remember I received a call one day after practice, and I get in the call, and I listened to it, and it was someone that I hadn't spoken with in a long time, but it was one of the leaders of our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, someone that I had looked up to for a long time. And this was unprompted, something that was not a person that you would expect to call me, and at that timing was really, really interesting. So I'm like, okay, great. I need to call this person back. I really respect this person as someone that has been a mentor and a leader. So I call him back, and I talk with him. And he's like, how are things going? What's going on in your life? I've been following. And for the next hour, I don't think he understood what he was getting into, right? Because I just laid it on him, all of it. He asked for it, and I did. And I told him everything. This isn't fair. This is hard. I don't know what to do. All this stuff, right? And he listened to me the whole time. He didn't say a word. Listened to me. At the end, he asked me one question. He said, are you reading your scriptures? That's what he asked me. He knew I was a man of faith. It's something that was important to me. And at that time, I was like, not consistently, not as much as I should. So it's like, okay, I want you to start reading the scriptures from today all the way until the season ends, and I want you to finish a book. And then at that point, let's see how things change, okay? So for me, I did that. I went and I started to focus on other things, started to focus on, the things that kind of were more important in my life. And at that point, things did change. And it wasn't the basketball situation. The basketball situation stayed the exact same. I wasn't playing very much. Sometimes I was playing. Sometimes I played great. Other times I played awful. The media was still really difficult. But my whole life changed because my focus changed. The focus of my life changed, and that's what was important. And that's what brings me happiness. And that's what brings you happiness. It's not always your job. It's not always what you do. It's who you are as a person. What do you do? Like, who are you? What matters to you? What do you pull from when things get tough? I didn't have anything at that point. And then I realized I needed something, because things aren't always going to be BYU. Things aren't always going to be great. Sometimes they're going to be the beginning of an NBA career. That's just how it works. So how do we deal with it? And that's something that I had to learn the hard way. And as I did that and I focused on other things, family, faith, and also built a routine that worked for me, whether from basketball sense, how did I do that? Things started to change. Things started to change in my life. So I went through, started to play with I went and played for the Chicago Bulls. I went and played for the New York Knicks. And I went and played for the San Antonio Spurs, the Phoenix Suns. I went and played for New Orleans Pelicans. I went kind of as a journeyman, went and played all of these different places. My last stop before I left the NBA was with the San Antonio Spurs. There was a couple of, I was there for training camp, right? And I was trying to make the team. I wasn't on the team yet. There was up to 2 different people. It was between me and another guy named Rasul Butler, okay? We were fighting for that spot. He was a little different than me. He was a bigger wing. I was a guard, so it kind of depended on what they wanted. I remember I get pulled into Coach Popovich's office, and it was the last preseason game. And he talks to me. He's like, Jimmer, we appreciate it, but we're going to have to let you go. We're going to have to cut you. And it's the first time I've ever been cut from a team before as well, right? So I've gone through all these things, and I'm like, I get cut from a basketball team. And then at that point, it's like, all right, well, what do I do, right? The NBA window is closed. That's over with. What do I do now? And so I get on the phone with my agent. I'm like, hey, listen, I just got cut. What am I going to do, right? So he gets on the phone. He starts talking to all these people all over the world, right? So obviously basketball is a global sport. They have stuff everywhere. They have leagues everywhere. I was getting calls from Australia. I was getting calls from Europe, South America, Japan, Korea, China, Russia, literally anywhere you can think of, I'm getting calls from because they want me to come play for their team. But at the same time, that's awesome, but it's overwhelming. Like, where do I go? What do I do? I don't know. What's my next phase in life? What is it? So I remember specifically, one night I was, I was praying about it. I was putting a pros and cons list. I was talking to people. I was trying to figure it out. Where do I need to go? I remember one night specifically, I was sleeping, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and it just hit me for some reason. It just said China, right? Like China was where I needed to go. So I wake up, and it's 3 in the morning, and I hit my wife. I'm like, Whitney, we need to go to China and play. And she's like, what are you talking about? Go to bed. Like, shut up. Let's go to bed. And she's like, we'll talk in the morning. I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of awake now. But, she goes back to bed, and I'm sitting there waiting. I'm like, why do I have to go to China for? So I go, and I wake up at 6 in the morning, and I'm like, all right, now I need to call my agent. I call him up, and I'm like, Chris, for some reason, I just feel like I need to go to Shanghai, right? I need to go to Shanghai Sharks. Never been to China in my life. Never thought I'd go to China. Know nothing about the language. Know nothing about anything. Just felt like I needed to go there. So I did. I got on the phone with Yao Ming. If you know who Yao Ming is, he's one of the best. He's the best Chinese basketball player of all time. He was the owner of the Shanghai Sharks at the time, which was really cool. I got to meet Yao Ming. The guy is literally as big as that door. I am not kidding either. He is a huge human being. And but just a great guy. He said, come on over. There was actually an American coach there, Brian Gorgian, who was there. So I felt comfortable going into it, and I decided, all right, let's do it. I went to China, and the Shanghai Sharks were not very good at that point. They just weren't, right? They hadn't made playoffs for a lot of years. They were trying to get a jolt. They just hadn't had a great culture, and Yao Ming was trying to change that. So he brought me over, and we get there, and our team was actually really good right away. We ended up being really, really good. So this game right here is against a team named Guangdong, and they're the best team in the league. That's Yi Jinlian, who is he's probably outside of Yao Ming, he's probably the best Chinese basketball player ever. He's played in the NBA for several years. These guys have won many championships, right? And we go out, and it was a big game. We were not expected to beat them, and we ended up beating them. And we had a great, great season that season. We ended up being the best team in the league. everything kind of changed in Shanghai. I was able to play really well. I was getting the ball in my hands, and I was able to go out there. I was averaging like 38 points a game, and I ended up winning the MVP of the Chinese basketball league. And it was such an interesting thing to me because I had a choice after I played the NBA, right? There was two different roads, right? I could say, hey, this isn't for me, and I could just go through the motions and be done with it. Like, that's one of the options I could have had. Or I can find a place where I want to be, and I can try to jump both feet in and actually take that opportunity that arose. Whether I wanted that opportunity or not is irrelevant. That's what the options that I had. Those are the options that I had. What am I going to do with it? So I decided to dive both feet in. I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. So I go to China, right? And I embrace the culture. I embrace the people, my teammates. I work out as hard as I possibly can, get myself in the best shape I can be in, and say, hey, I'm going to go try to dominate this thing. And we go out there, and I was fortunate that year we were able to do that. And then the perception changed. All these people are like, man, what happened to Jimmer? He was terrible. Like, all these things. Everyone was like, wait, why is this guy not in the NBA anymore? What is going on? This guy is playing great. Just give him the opportunity. It kind of shifted. But it was all because of the fact that I was willing and able to dive in both feet in that opportunity, right? You don't know what opportunities are going to come for you, for your team, whatever that is. Situations completely change, all of these things. But are you willing to see what that opportunity is? And are you willing to go dive both feet into that opportunity and make the best out of it? Because sometimes it becomes better than you even think. And that's what ended up happening. That's what the feeling was in Shanghai after we were winning, right? That was one of my teammates right there. He was my man. And it was awesome. And I had a great career. All of a sudden I became a superstar in China, right? I got shoe deals over there. I was with Monster Energy Drink. I was with a ton of these deals, and also it was better than I had ever expected before. And it was really, really a cool experience. Even so much so, after my third year in China, I actually got called by the NBA again and was able to go and play for the Phoenix Suns. They gave me another opportunity to go and play in the NBA and said they want me to come back just because of that opportunity, which was really, really cool. So, after that, I kind of was a little bit of a journeyman. I went over, that's my daughter right there in Greece at the Pantheon, and we played in Greece for a year, which was an amazing experience. Got to meet some really cool people. We had some awesome times, spent a lot of times, on planes with my kids. And, they ended up being able to go to China and all over the world to be able to watch me play basketball and just have an amazing experience, things that I never thought I was going to be able to experience as a human, as a basketball player for my kids. Eventually, in 2022, I was in China for my last season there, and it was during COVID. It was a difficult year. I didn't get to see my family for about 6-7 months straight because we were over there in a hotel and they didn't let you leave and you're just kind of playing games. It was really tough. So after that, I decided I was going to kind of be done with basketball for a while. And I was still young. I was still 32 years old. Like, I had a lot of basketball left in me, I think. But I was just burned out until I got a call from USA Basketball. And USA Basketball at that time was like, hey, we have a program where we're starting 3x3 basketball. It's a new sport. It's an Olympic sport. It's an emerging sport. We want you to come and play. And we want you to, help us get to the Olympics. And I heard the word Olympics, and I was like, man, I got to be in for this, right? But I got to ask my wife first. So I go home and I ask Whitney. I was like, hey, Whitney, I've been traveling a lot. This might require some travel, but I want to still play. And would it be okay if I tried to, help us get to the Olympics? She's like, well, where are the Olympics in 2024? I was like, well, they're in Paris. She's like, do it. And I said, okay, perfect. If you're all in, I'm all in, right? She's like, it's going to be a great trip, and it's going to be an expensive trip for you. And I was like, okay, sounds good. So I dove all into 3x3 basketball. Here is a little bit of, 3x3 basketball. We were here, and this was at the World Cup. This is a video, but I don't know if it can even play. But we go, and I meet these other three guys, right? There's 4 guys on a 3x3 team. You get 1 sub. Meet these other 3 guys, Dylan Travis, Canyon Barry, Kareem Maddox. We were all from different walks of life, all from different colleges, all from Never met these guys before. I played in one tournament with them. Let little be known that I was going to be with those guys for the next 2 years. We were with each other for the next 2 years. Here's a little video of us playing 3x3 in the World Cup. And this was a big game against Latvia that we ended up winning. This was in Vienna, Austria. You can see I'm a little bit hyped. A little bit. That's how I used to play. I used to love that. But that was the World Cup. Some of the most fun times I've ever had playing basketball. And so I go with these guys, and we go all over the world. 3x3 basketball is truly a global sport. I was playing in Mongolia. I was playing in Kosovo. I was playing in Abu Dhabi. We were playing in Santiago, Chile. We were playing in Taiwan. We went to the Philippines. We were literally all over. You name a place, we've probably been there. And it was incredible. With these 4 guys, all of us together, we became brothers. And our whole goal was to be able to help USA qualify for the Olympics. We ended up doing that. We ended up getting qualified for the Olympics after the good and the bad. There was so much that went into this. We ended up qualifying for the Olympics, and they picked us as the team to be able to represent the USA. An absolute dream come true, right? All these sweat and tears that happened going into this there was a lot, and we were so pumped. We get to the Olympics in Paris. We're the #1 team in the world going into the Olympics. We're the best team. We're winning everything. We're just clicking on all cylinders. We're so excited because we're like, man, we're gonna win. Like, we got a real shot at medaling, possibly a gold medal. Like, I wanted that thing around my neck. I was gonna wear it all year, right? I was not gonna take that thing off. And we get to the Olympics, we're super pumped. Everyone knows that we're really good. We get to opening ceremonies, it's amazing. We're on a boat, I'm sitting next to LeBron James, Simone Biles, like all these people just kind of chilling. Coco Gauff is right there. And we're hanging out, we're all in this boat together, literally and figuratively, and just having an amazing time. Everything that you would think about for the Olympics. We get in, we have our first game against Serbia, who's #2 team in the world. They're great, they're really good. We ended up losing that game. But there's set 8 pool play games. We play a lot, and then they seed us into the tournament. Next game is against Poland, a team that we should beat. I'm playing, and it's 1 minute into the game. And I go, and I'm going to steal a basketball. Go like this, and I turn out. All of a sudden, I feel my groin pop completely. All of a sudden, I knew right as soon as that happened, my Olympics was over. Done. So I get off of the court, and I go get an MRI in Paris. I had torn my adductor and my gracilis straight off the bone. And they were like, you're not playing. There's no way you can play. I was like, is there any way? Like, can I do anything? They're like, there's no way you can play. So 2 games into the Olympics, done. All these sweat, tears, all this time, everything that we put into this, gonna win a gold medal, all of these things had a chance to taken away completely, just like that, right? Again, things change. But I will say this, it was devastating. It was really hard. There were a lot of tears, obviously, from my wife, from my family, because we knew how difficult and how much we wanted it. But at the same time, I had been through this before at this point. And now my mindset and my focus has shifted many years ago before. So how can I deal with it now? I've dealt with it much better because of the fact that doesn't define me. I'm not just a basketball player. Like, that's something that I do, and it was awesome. And I got to represent the USA, got to put that on my chest and play in the Olympics. Didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, but guess what? That doesn't mean that changes me. Doesn't change me as a person, doesn't change my initiative, doesn't change me as a leader. In fact, it even helps with that. If you turn it into a positive and spin that, that actually even helped. Because now I can tell people that I've been through adversity, I've been through a lot. And now I've come out where I feel like on top, where now I have a great life, I have a great family. I've been fortunate to do so many awesome things in basketball and be a leader and be a teammate all over the world. And it's because of the game of basketball. But now I also have the fact that I know how to deal with difficult things as well. And how are you going to deal with those difficult things when they come? How is your team going to deal with difficult things as they come? As a leader, how are you going to portray that to your team, to the people that are around you? How do you portray that to them? You do it by showing them. You do it by example. The best coaches, the best players, the best teams, they always have the best leaders. It's as simple as that. The New England Patriots were not good for 20 years because of all the talent they had. It's because they had Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Those guys were great. They expected greatness. They were the best players. He was a coach. They expected it. And because of that, they were great for 20 years. So you have to expect that out of your team, but you have to lead by example. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to go through a lot of experiences to be able to understand that, whether it's good or bad, which has been really fun. So I just want to leave that with you, right? I know that Dave may want to come up here and maybe do a few questions afterwards, but what do you go to? What do you go to in times that are difficult? That is amazing. This is awesome. But I just wanted to say that, and I appreciate you letting me have this opportunity. Thank you so much, and now we'll do some more questions with Dave. There we go.
All right. Thanks, Jimmer.
Absolutely.
This is great. We'll take a few questions. So thank you for your story, hearing about grit and determination. I think the first question is that I want to pose is, big bone Jimmer, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You knew right from early on that you were going to be in the NBA. That was your goal.
It was.
So take me back to 2011.
Yeah.
10th pick in the NBA draft.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience a little bit more. That evening.
Yeah. So that evening was kind of wild. So, of course, that's generally they have the NBA draft at the Madison Square Garden, right? Like the best arena in the world, right in the middle of Manhattan. It's just unbelievable. That year, of course, for some reason, it was under renovation. They had it in the Prudential Center in New Jersey, which I'm like, we're going to Jersey I'm from New York originally, so like Jersey, we're like, come on, so we go to Jersey and have it in Prudential Center, and it was great. It was awesome. And actually, you're sitting there in the green room with all these people at these tables. I have my agent there and all of my family, and your agent's getting called the whole time. Like, hey, are you going to get picked here? You know what I mean? He's talking to people. So we knew going into the 10th pick that we were going to get picked at that point. So what happened was the Milwaukee Bucks actually drafted me. But we knew that there was already been a trade that had happened that I was going to go to Sacramento. So when I actually went up and got my name called and shook the commissioner's hand, it was in a Bucks hat. And then I had to go back and do all the media, and then I had to wait in this room afterwards for the trade to go through officially. So I'm sitting in this room and waiting, and I waited there for literally like 3 hours because they have to get the trade to go through. And I'm sitting there, and then I have to do media after that. And I had like this big party that we were going to have. All my family was there and all this stuff. And I sat there for 3 hours, and I literally didn't leave until like 1 a.m. that night, getting all of this stuff done. So the party was over. I didn't get to go to the party, like all this stuff. But I ended up getting to the Sacramento Kings. And I just remember all the emotions and like all the hard work and everything that was just really cool to be able to experience and just kind of reach a dream that you've been working on forever is a special experience.
That's cool. Is there one moment in your career that stands out most? I mean, you had some amazing experience. But was there one moment that you just cherished the best?
Yeah, I would say, like when we beat Gonzaga and won and went to the Sweet 16 my senior year, that was probably the one moment that sticks out the most because, like I said, BYU hadn't gone to the Sweet 16 for like 35 years at that point. Like that was a huge goal of ours to be able to do and kind of get that monkey off of the BYU's back again. And for us to do that as a team, and we had some hard things going into the NCAA tournament where people didn't think we were necessarily being able to do it. And to be able to do that was probably like my favorite moment.
That was epic.
Yeah.
There's I think the Sports Illustrated picture was that game, right?
Yeah, the Sports Illustrated cover, was on
Jordan,
that.
There's another picture from that game as well. I swear I didn't. I don't know if you've seen this, but like we're related.
That is amazing.
This was that game. This is me and my brothers. Jimmer's long lost brothers, Marker, Daver, Brocker, and Brader.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
I was at that game. I didn't set that up. That was perfect. I didn't know that. Anyway, thank you for Jordan.
That's great.
That was an epic game. Now you're transitioning your career with USA Basketball, 3-on-3 basketball. You're with Tandem Ventures.
Yeah.
How are you reinventing yourself now? What's this taking to reinvent yourself?
Yeah, for sure. It's been really great. I've been with Tandem Ventures for the last 3 years now. We invest in tech companies in Utah and kind of the Mountain West area, mostly early stage. And I kind of was getting an education in tech and investing throughout my basketball career. You get to the NBA and then all of a sudden people are like, hey, you can invest in my company. Like, I want you to invest, right? So I'm like, well, I don't know. Let me look at it. And then I got a pretty good education of like, what's a good deal? What's a bad deal? All these things without knowing it. So when Alex and McKay, our partners, came to me and said, hey, would you want to be a part of Tandem Ventures? I was like, well, I kind of know a little bit about this, have a good network, and I feel like I'd be fairly good asset to the team. So I was like, let's do it. And and it's been a process though, right? Understanding, like figuring out how to be successful in that world. What is my niche within the company? What kind of value do I bring? How do I get people to see me as someone who is actually a serious investor and take me seriously? Like all those things come into play. And it's just about hard work and understanding your deals, understanding the lingo, being able to talk the language. All of those things take a lot of work. And once you start doing that, people start taking you seriously more, and it's been great.
That's great. I want to take 2 questions from the audience. Anybody have a question for Jimmer?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we have the mic somewhere, but just speak loud. Any questions before we end? We've got one back here. Oh, wait. Yeah, back here first.
Is this on?
Yeah.
There we go. I'll warm up the crowd for a bit. So in my household, my wife knows you as Whitney Fredette's husband.
Oh, I love that. They should. Most people do now.
She's growing on TikTok.
She is.
So my question is, would you rate your current basketball skills better or worse than your wife's impersonation skills, her voice impersonation skills? So.
Her impersonation.
She's pretty great, everybody. You should check her out.
You need to check out her impersonation. She does a Minions impression. No, I don't even know how where she got it from. That's the most random impression of all time. It's amazing. Her impressions are elite. They are absolutely elite. She's better than I am at basketball. I haven't played basketball in like a year. So she's definitely better with her impressions than I am in basketball right now. I mean, I could still shoot it a little bit. That doesn't lose. You don't lose that. You just lose the shape and you lose the ball handling skills. But she's elite right now. So I have to say her.
Next year we'll get Whitney here.
Yeah, you do. You have to for some entertainment.
All right, one more question over here.
Yeah, I'm just interested. When you first started out, like you said, you're always interested in going to the NBA. Like, what was that moment? Did you have like one specific moment that you did you watch the NBA, or did your parents really like what was that moment that like this thing clicked in my mind? I'm going to do this.
Yeah, that's a great question. To be honest with you, I didn't really have that moment when I was younger. It was always just like I just loved basketball. I loved watching it, and I was like, man, I can make money playing basketball. Let's do it, right? Like this is my passion. It was literally my passion, and that's something that I think is underrated. Like for me, my dad or my brother never had to say, hey, Jimmer, come practice today. Like it was always me, like, Dad, can you come practice with me? TJ, can you come practice with me, please? Like I want to go out there and shoot. And since I took that initiative, it was a real passion of mine, and that's all I thought about. Like it literally was all I thought about. My brother made me write this little contract that he had when I was younger, and it was just like a piece of paper, and it said, basically and then he had like a line for me to like write my name, and we'll make the necessary and proper sacrifices in order to make it to reach my ultimate dream of playing in the NBA. And he made me sign it and all this stuff. I was like, what are we doing? Like, why are we, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't know what's going on, but he made me put it above my bed so that every night I saw it, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So I went to sleep thinking about that, and I woke up thinking about that. And there's power in that. And it was just in my head at a young age, like that's what I wanted to do. And then I remember like it became a reality of like that is an actual, because I didn't know if I was going to, you never know what's going to happen. I always thought about it. But then I remember one specific game where I was like, wow, this could happen now. It was against Arizona, at Arizona my junior year. it was my junior year. We were still pretty good, and I wasn't really on the map at that point. We were under the radar team. But we went into the McHale Center, and they were a top 15 team. We weren't expected to win. We ended up beating them by like 30 points, and I ended up having 49 points, and like 10 threes, and and I remember at that point people were like, "Whoa, who is this guy, and what is this team, and what is going on here?" And I knew at that point I was like, "Oh wow, actually I think this could be a possibility if I keep playing well, but I got to make sure that I keep playing well." And that was the moment where I realized that it might be a chance. So
that's cool. That's great. One quick last question: how do you've had such an amazing career, but you've got Whitney, your wife, and 3 kids, right?
Yeah.
How do you balance things? How do you make that happen?
Yeah. No, it's always a great question. I think during the basketball years, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Because I was gone a lot. NBA, obviously, you're traveling a lot. It was a lot easier travel, a lot closer travel. But then once I got overseas, during my first 3 years of China, we had 2 kids within those first 3 years. And so she was pregnant during, 2 of those 3 years and with young kids. So she didn't want to fly very much. She had doctor's appointments, all these things. So I was over there in Shanghai, to be honest with you, most of the time by myself, which was really hard. And you don't think about it as like a normal person with, you see the basketball. It's like, oh, wow, it would be amazing to play overseas. You go play in China or in Athens, Greece, and all these things. But you don't think about, well, a lot of times you're just kind of there by yourself if your family doesn't come out. And then also, you have a ton of free time because you just play twice. You play one time in the day. You play for 2 hours, and then the rest of the day you have off. So it's like, well, what do I do? And trying to figure all those things out. So, it's one of those things where, of course, you're blessed and you're making money and you're doing all these things, but there's difficulties that come with it too. Especially for me, being away from family was really hard.
Yeah.
So trying to balance that was difficult. But when I got home, I made sure that I was super present. And that was one thing that I made sure, I was with the kids and I was doing stuff and I was making sure that I was there. And, because I had missed so much. And now it's a little bit easier because I get to I'm home and I get to do my own schedule and I get to coach my kids' teams and I get to do all these different things that I missed out on, which has been a real joy for me. And, but making sure that you just have to prioritize things. You got to make sure you put it in your calendar. I'm blocking off this 2-hour period because I have to be at a game or I'm having to do these things, and prioritizing it that way has been important for me.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story, Jimmer. It's
Yeah.
an awesome story. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Jimmer Fredette.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Dave. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Thank you.